March was a very exciting month for us, and hopefully for you too. Especially during our release week, there were tons of new things, and beyond that, we also never stopped shipping. As every month, this video shows some of the highlights, and if you want to know more, then make sure to read the whole recap as a blog post. The link is down below as usual. Also, don't forget to join our newsletter so you get all the latest news straight in your inbox and never miss out. But now, let's have a look. Void. At the very end of our March launch week, Avenue himself announced
one more thing
during his talk at VJS Amsterdam, and that was Void, a deployment platform for Vite applications to deploy them at warp speed. The benefit here is that it also comes with an SDK, so you can tightly integrate your application, and that makes the DX just a dream. No more worries about provisioning infrastructure and get an all-included package, including databases, KV storage, object storage, and so on. There's just one command to deploy it all, Void deploy, and the whole thing is AI native, coming with skills, MCP, and prompts for coding agents so they do the work and you don't have to. Void will also be framework agnostic, so no matter which front-end framework or meta framework you use, you can deploy to Void as long as Vite is the base of it. If you haven't done already, go to void.cloud and sign up for the early access so you're on the list when we send out the first batches. Vite Plus. Another big announcement during our March launch week was the release of Vite Plus as MIT and open source, and you probably have heard about it already. Otherwise, the announcement video is also linked below so you can take a look. Most importantly, it's there to simplify and unify your front-end toolchain to bring you the best tools that are there and they work seamlessly together, and also manage your Node.js version and package manager. It doesn't stop at the initial launch though. We continuously ship multiple versions to add new features and bug fixes. And one of them is related to the VP create command. After choosing what kind of application we want to create, we can choose the name and the package manager. And before, the package manager was limited to PNPM, Yarn, and NPM. And one of the most requested features was using Bun. And the latest Vite Plus version now ships with Bun as package manager supported. The best part is that Vite Plus has translation layers for flags. So no matter if you have used Yarn's -- immutable or PNPM's -- frozen log file, you can use all of these, and Vite Plus under the hood will translate them depending on the package manager you use. Vite. After multiple betas, a temporary package, and testing through the community plus a green ecosystem CI, Vite 8 has been eventually announced and released in the middle of March. And more amazing that it got more than 2.7 million downloads in the first 7 days, which is big for such a major version. Especially that from an architectural point of view, Vite 8 has the biggest changes since Vite 2, because now it's based on Rolldown, officially. It has a Rust core and a Rust bundler. But besides the Vite 8 announcement, there's also something that got released with it, which is the new version 6 major of the Vite React plugin. Previous versions of the React plugin had actually Babel included by default. Here we see that version 5 is installed, and if you have a look at our dependencies, we see that Babel core is installed. Now, if we upgrade on version 6 though, and quickly reinstall our dependencies and do the same, we will see, well, there is no Babel anymore. That's because the transforms Babel did before can now be taken over by OXC. But if you might wonder now, wait, what is with the React compiler? Because that one uses Babel under the hood. No worries, there's a solution for that, and it's pretty easy. If you have a look at our Vite config, things look simple and fine. If we now want to add the compiler, we can add a compiler preset from our plugin, and then we also need to install a Babel plugin. This Babel plugin you can get from Rolldown /plugin Babel. And then in here, as the preset, you can just add the React compiler preset. And from here on, the compiler will work as before. Also, if you scaffold a new application with Vite and choose the React compiler, that's actually the default. Upgrading from version 5 to version 6 of the React plugin is also straightforward because it's basically what we've seen just here, all documented nicely in the changelog. Vitest. Another amazing release in March was Vitest 4.1. The minor version, of course, does not come with breaking changes, but with a lot of features. And one feature that will probably also help your test suite out there is test tags. To get started, I created a few example tests. We have a before all option that connects to the database. We have some unit tests. We have something that actually needs the database in theory, and the stress test that takes longer. If you would only want to run the utils test or the stress test here, this before all would still be connected, which is not ideal. So what we could do is we could use test tags. To set test tags up, the easiest is to go to Vitest config, and in the test object here, you can add tags. That's just an array, and tags have a name, and then it can also have a description. At least write them better than I do. And we can also pass in some options, like we can set the timeout for all integration tests to 100,000. So this way we can easily pass options to different types of tests that we want to use. we also have to apply these test tags. First, we maybe want to have another one, let's say name a unit. And now to apply them, what we want to do is here between the name of either the test itself or the scribe block, we can add a test tag by saying tags unit. So same here, we can add a object, and here we can say tags integration. And we can also use multiple if we want to. So that can be quite helpful if you want to label, for example, some slow tests, some flaky tests, etc., etc. Of course, we can also run them in a way so we only run tests with certain tags. To do so, let's run pnpm vitest --tags filter unit, for example. And this will just run the tests that have the unit tag, which is this one. And we have this before all, and this is running all the time. But ideally, we only want to run that when the integration tests are actually necessary, so we connect to our database to test it properly. And we can actually do so. We just need to have the test runner also imported by Vitest, and then we can call the matches tag, and all we have to put in, we have to say, okay, we have the same array, and here we can save integration tests. So let's put them in here. And if we say, if this is the case, then run that, otherwise skip ahead. And if we now run the unit test, then we will see these are now way quicker because the before all block here is fully skipped. Now, there are also way more things you can do with test tags. For example, define them through JS docs, have other ways to filter them, use them with the programmatic API, and so on and so on. Please give them a try and let us know what you think about them. Rolldown. With the Vite 8 release, Rolldown became the default bundler for all Vite applications, which means that build times are shrinking down to a minimum. And new versions of Rolldown, which is in our seed right now, are coming out weekly, bringing performance improvements, bug fixes, and new features on the road to 1.0. No breaking changes though, as promised. One feature that didn't make it into core yet, or it was there but was removed eventually, is CSS support. Right now, Vite and its CSS plugin are taking care of bundling your CSS, but the Rolldown team is always curious regarding your needs, so make sure to leave a comment. But what if you have to bundle a library, let's say your design system or your component library? Well, then you can use tsdown, which is an elegant library bundler on top of Rolldown, and also lives in the Rolldown org. In the recent weeks, tsdown added experimental CSS support and moved that to an extra package called tsdown CSS. So make sure to pin that when you install it, because Semware doesn't apply there. One new feature is the support of CSS modules besides preprocessors, code splitting, etc. So now your code using CSS modules can also be handled properly. That means even if you need CSS, no matter for your application or your library, you always have the choice of going the Vite route or the tsdown route, while there is no CSS support in the core of Rolldown yet. But we're working on it. Oxlint. Oxlint's JavaScript plugin support reached alpha, and what it means is around 80% of the ESLint users can just migrate over and the rules work as before. That's because Oxlint is compatible with the ESLint plugin API and actually runs them even faster. You can take your rules, no matter if it's your custom rules or some packages, and run them through the JS plugins in Oxlint. Here we have a very classic app.tsx component using useState from React, but people proficient in React already see that set count here is triggering an infinite rendering loop. The problem is that if we just run pnpm lint in this case, nothing is called. One thing we can do is just adding the native React plugin here and hope that this might work, but it doesn't. This is because the rule itself, called setState in render, only works through the React compiler, and the React compiler rules, well, they can't be easily ported for Rust. Luckily, we can use the JavaScript plugin of that. We have this ESLint plugin React hooks here, and we can use this easily in Oxlint. And that applies to any ESLint plugin through npm or your custom rules that you can write. We use JS plugins here because it's a JavaScript plugin, and we insert it. Now, if we run lint again, we hit a problem here because it says the React hooks plugin is already implemented natively in Rust within Oxlint. Using both the native and JS versions would create ambiguity about which rules to use, so that's correct. We can use this little snippet and copy it over, basically use the plugin, but we give it a different name because we only want to use certain JS-based rules and not all of them. So now we can say we use the rules here, and one rule we want to use is React hooks JS, so that's the specifier, we gave it right up here, and then the rule name, so set state in render, and this should be set to error. Now, if we save this and run the linting command again, thanks to the React compiler, we actually see, oh yeah, here are problems. Error calling set state during render may trigger an infinite loop. That means you can move your React applications over, no matter if you use the compiler rules, any others. If they're not supported natively in Oxlint, then just use JS plugins. Important disclaimer here. Yes, I mentioned 80% of the Oxlint users in the beginning, and that's because JS plugins can't do two things at the moment. One thing is custom parsers. So what won't work is linting Vue, Svelte, Angular, etc. templates. The script part already works perfectly, but the template doesn't. That's something we're working on right now. The other thing is custom type over lint rules. The lint rules from TypeScript Oxlint are mostly covered, only 2 are missing, and they're built into Oxlint. But if you have lint rules that are custom written or using a package that needs that information from the TypeScript compiler, that won't work at the moment. So these are the 2 biggest issues. Other than that, things work smoothly and we're working on them. So let us know if you move over, if you have any other problems, and how the migration is going.
Oxfmt.
Oxfmt got some really good quality of life changes recently, like better Vue SFC component formatting support or GraphQL template literals. But one thing is here to highlight, and that is JS docs. When we run plain Ox format with the default settings, then the JS docs are not formatted. But luckily, since version 0.42, we can set JS doc and just use the defaults by setting an empty object. And now, if we have a look, run it again, perfect. We have correctly formatted JS docs, you can read them very nicely. Now, of course, if you want to say, okay, look, actually, I want to have the spacing for the brackets to say, okay, this is set to true because these curlies here are too snug on the word, we can do that, and now we have a little bit of space here. Other options can be found in the docs.
Community.
Anthropic released a new version of Claude.ai, so not Claude Code, not a model, no, it's about the website and desktop apps. Felix Rieseberg here is describing how they moved their architecture over from an SSR-based approach to a static, Vite, and 10-stack router setup. On that sense, they could straight away serve it from workers at the edge and reduce their time to first byte by 65%, which is quite significant. Also, prompts were showing up 50% sooner, and the navigation went way snappier. This is in line with what a lot of people say when they move over to a static approach with Vite. Nevertheless, he says that this is not the end and there are more improvements, so I hope to hear more from him about further improvements, hopefully also build time reductions now with Vite 8 and more. And if you have a similar story, please drop them down below. Really curious to see your numbers and hear how the tooling made your project go faster, better, improve the X.
The end?
Yes, these were some of the selected highlights in March, and make sure to read the whole recap because there's so much more to cover that we just can't fit in a single video. Most importantly, also sign up to the newsletter so you get these recaps straight in your inbox and don't miss out on anything. Other than that, I hope to see you in the next recap or online. Let's build things together.